Hello, I'm Ronald Wimbley, and you're listening to Forced Valor Radio. In the shadow of the War of 1812, a pivotal clash unfolded at Horseshoe Bend, where General Andrew Jackson's forces faced the defiant Red Stick Creek warriors. Amid the chaos, an eccentric scout named Brandon Herrera emerged, armed with a skillet, a sack of oddities, and an unshakable resolve to turn the tide of battle. Today's episode is entitled The Pine Cone Pandemonium of Horseshoe Bend. On March 27, 1814, the dense forests and swirling mists along the Tallapoosa River in Alabama Territory shrouded a clash that would echo through history. General Andrew Jackson's 3,000-strong force, comprising U.S. Army regulars, Tennessee militia, and allied Cherokee and Creek warriors, stood poised to strike the Red Stick Creek stronghold at Horseshoe Bend. The Red Sticks, a faction of the Creek Nation allied with the British in the War of 1812, had fortified a peninsula formed by a sharp curve in the river, their 1,000 warriors entrenched behind a formidable log breastwork. Led by Chiefs Menawar and William Weatherford, they were determined to defend their land and sovereignty against American expansion. Into this crucible of conflict strode Brandon Herrera, a volunteer scout with a dented iron skillet strapped to his belt and a sack of mysterious items slung over his shoulder. Known for his absurd victories at Tippecanoe and beyond, Brandon arrived at Jackson's camp atop a braying donkey, his mustache bristling with purpose. "I've come to cook up some trouble," he announced, tipping a non-existent hat to a bemused sentry. Jackson's strategy was grimly simple: a frontal assault on the breastwork, supported by artillery, while Cherokee allies crossed the river to burn the Red Stick village and cut off retreat. The fortifications, logs stacked 5 to 8 feet high, zigzagging across the peninsula with firing ports, loomed like a wooden fortress. As the troops prepared, Brandon scoured the forest, gathering pine cones, vines, and a few pilfered gunpowder kegs. "Muskets are for the mundane," he muttered, stuffing pine cones with powder and rigging them with fuses crafted from twisted bark. At dawn, the battle roared to life. Cannonballs thudded into the breastwork, but the logs stood firm, mocking the bombardment. The Red Sticks answered with musket fire and arrows, their war cries piercing the morning fog. Jackson's first charge faltered, men falling back under a hail of lead. Amid the chaos, Brandon lit a fuse and lobbed a pine cone bomb over the wall. It landed with a dull thump, then erupted in a burst of sparks and smoke, sending warriors scrambling. "Pine cone pandemonium, commence!" he shouted, hurling another. The explosions were small but startling, sowing confusion among the defenders. The breastwork still held, its logs a stubborn barrier. Undeterred, Brandon squinted through the haze and spotted a section lashed together with vines instead of nails, a rare flaw in the Red Stick's design. With a cackle, he fashioned a slingshot from forest vines and began firing sharpened stones at the bindings. "Unravel, ye wooden beast!" he cried, his shot snapping the vines one by one. The logs sagged, then parted, revealing a narrow gap. Grabbing a canoe paddle from a startled Cherokee scout, Brandon charged, swinging it like a berserker's club. "For liberty and lunacy!" he bellowed, knocking warriors aside as he widened the breach. The American troops, galvanized by his madness, poured through the opening. Across the river, the Cherokee set fire to the Red Stick village, acrid smoke rising as retreat became impossible. The battle turned into a brutal melee, bayonets clashing with tomahawks, screams mingling with the crack of muskets. Brandon, wielding his skillet and paddle, danced through the fray. A Red Stick warrior lunged with a spear. Brandon parried with the skillet, the clang echoing, then felled him with a paddle swing. "Rest easy, friend. This is progress," he quipped, ducking a swinging club. By midday, the Red Stick's line broke. Chief Menawar, bloodied but unbowed, rallied a final stand near the river, his warriors fighting with desperate courage. But the tide had turned. By noon, the peninsula was a scene of carnage. 49 Americans lay dead, 154 wounded, while over 800 Red Sticks perished, their leaders among them. Horseshoe Bend was won, a crushing blow to Creek resistance that would force the Treaty of Fort Jackson, ceding 23 million acres to the United States. As the dust settled, Jackson found Brandon perched on a fallen log, skillet in hand, regaling soldiers with tales of arboreal warfare. The general, his coat stained with blood and pine sap, approached. "Herrera, your methods are lunacy, but they've split that wall wide open," he said, handing over a congressional certificate of merit. Signed by Jackson and his officers, it lauded Brandon's unorthodox valor and botanical ingenuity. Beaming, Brandon saluted with his skillet as the troops cheered, dubbing him the Pinecone Patriot. As the army marched away, Brandon's legend swelled. By Fort Strother, campfire tales claimed he'd toppled the breastwork with a spoon and mesmerized the Red Sticks with his mustache. The truth, pine cones, paddles, and sheer audacity, was wild enough. Horseshoe Bend had reshaped the Southeast, and Brandon Herrera, the skillet-swinging hero, had etched his name into its bloody lore. Again, I'm Ronald Wimbley, and you've been listening to Forced Valor Radio. For more content like this, visit forcedvalor.com. Stay tuned here for further episodes of Forced Valor Radio. And always, please like and subscribe. Forced Valor merchandise is available on our website, forcedvalor.com.